24-year-old Fang Xiu works the night shift at a 24-hour convenience store in the south side of the city, living a plain but steady life. Tonight, deep in the night, he yawns behind the counter as usual, restocking the shelves. No one could have guessed that this most ordinary of nights was about to completely rewrite his fate.
Yawning, muttering to himself, so few customers tonight. 2 more hours and I can clock out.
The clock on the wall ticks steadily. The street outside is as quiet as ever. Everything looks exactly the same as any other night. Right at 2 in the morning, the streetlights outside flicker several times without warning, then suddenly go dark. The lights inside the store start eerily flickering too. Fang Xiu feels a faint, teeth-aching hum ring in his ears.
Frowning, looking around, did the power go out? No, wait. Where's that humming sound coming from?
Through the store's glass window, Fang Xiu can dimly make out the air at the end of the street twisting into strange ripples, as if reality itself had cracked open there. The next instant, the twisted ripple suddenly splits open. A monstrous, pitch-black, impossibly shaped creature crawls slowly out of the crack. Wherever it passes, the asphalt corrodes and collapses.
Screaming in terror, What is that thing? Somebody help me.
The creature barely brushes against the screaming passerby, and in an instant he dissolves into a puddle of black slime, vanishing without a trace. Fang Xiu watches it happen with his own eyes, frozen cold with fear. Panicking, Fang Xiu tries to lock the store's front door, but the creature moves far faster than logic allows. In almost the blink of an eye, it's already looming right in front of him, its massive shadow swallowing him whole.
Backing away in terror, no. Stay away from me.
It all happens too fast. Fang Xiu doesn't even have time to scream a second word before cold. Sticky tentacles pierce straight through his body. Everything goes black, and amid a wave of unbearable pain, his consciousness collapses into endless darkness. The instant his consciousness returns, Fang Xiu bolts upright from behind the counter, gasping for breath. In disbelief, he looks down at his own body. The wound is gone, completely unharmed. The clock on the wall shows the exact time he clocked in for his shift tonight.
Eyes wide, trembling all over. What is going on? I was definitely dead. Why am I back at the start of my shift tonight?
After a brief moment of confusion, one absurd but seemingly the only reasonable explanation surfaces in Fang Xiu's mind. Somehow, at the moment of his death, he triggered some impossible kind of time reset. Still shaken but half convinced, Fang Xiu decides to test his bizarre theory while there's still time. He stares fixedly at the clock on the wall, waiting for that fated moment of 2 a.m. to arrive again.
Staring nervously at the clock, if my guess is right, the same strange thing should happen out on the street again in just a few minutes.
At exactly 2 in the morning, the street lights on the street flicker and go dark again, just as before. The same eerie humming sound rings out once more. This time, Fang Xiu witnesses it with his own eyes and confirms his unbelievable ability. Having learned a painful lesson last time, Fang Xiu doesn't foolishly stay put this time. Instead, he locks the store doors early, kills the lights, and quietly hides in the back storeroom, holding his breath, waiting for the creature to leave.
Hiding in the storeroom, heart pounding. Please don't find me. Please don't find me.
The creature lingers outside the store for a while, seemingly unaware of Fang Xiu holding his breath in the storeroom, and eventually slinks away. Fang Xiu barely manages to avoid his second death. After that narrow escape, Fang Xiu gradually calms down. He realizes that every time he dies, he resets back to the fixed moment when he clocked in tonight, and with this power of death reset, he can essentially trial and error his way through the night like a video game, gradually mapping out the rules behind this eldritch invasion.
Muttering to himself, clenching his fist, if dying just means I get to try again, then I'm going to figure out every single danger this city will face tonight. Sooner or later, I'll manage to survive all the way to dawn.
Over the dozens of loops that follow, Fang Xiu repeatedly dies and resets, piece by piece assembling a complete timeline of this eldritch invasion, along with the locations of danger appearing one after another across the city. As the number of loops increases, Fang Xiu discovers that this invasion's reach extends far beyond just his own street. Reports of similar anomalies keep coming in from all over the city. Panic spreads through many neighborhoods as monstrous creatures run rampant and pedestrians mysteriously vanish.
Looking at scattered messages on his phone, this isn't just about me anymore. The whole city is under this invasion tonight.
Realizing the gravity of the situation, the impulse that once was purely for self-preservation begins to grow, in Feng Xiu's heart, into a desire to save as many people as he can. During his tenth-something loop, Feng Xiu gets to know Lin Xiaoyu, a female coworker on the same shift. With her exceptional courage and sharp observation, she happens to catch a glimpse of one of the creatures during a loop herself and luckily escapes disaster, which makes her curious about Feng Xiu's strange behavior.
Warily, Feng Xiu, you've been acting really strange tonight. You keep staring at the clock, do you know something I don't?
Hesitating, then deciding to come clean. Xiaoyu, this is going to sound crazy, and you might not believe me, but I need your help figuring out what's really happening tonight.
Half convinced, time resetting? Dying and coming back? Feng Xiu, are you messing with me?
To prove he's telling the truth, Feng Xiu simply takes Lin Xiaoyu with him into danger, letting her witness with her own eyes his death and subsequent full health reawakening in the exact same spot. Only then is Lin Xiaoyu completely convinced.
Shocked, oh my god, this is real. Feng Xiu, if you really have this bizarre ability, can we actually find a way to save more people?
Nodding solemnly. That's exactly what I want to do next.
With Lin Xiaoyu on board, Feng Xiu's efforts become far more efficient. The two split the work, one recording the exact time and location of each creature sighting, the other testing and verifying them on the ground, gradually mapping out a detailed chart of the city's danger zones.
Organizing her notes, based on the patterns we've picked up over these last few loops, the Old Town Market and Subway Station 3 are the two worst hotspots for creature sightings tonight.
Nodding, got it. Next loop, let's focus on evacuating the innocent people at those two locations ahead of time.
Even though the experience accumulated through repeated trial and error lets Feng Xiu and Lin Xiaoyu successfully evacuate a group of civilians from the market in one particular loop, they quickly discover the cruel limitation of this power. Everyone except the two of them completely forgets everything that happened in previous loops.
Looking somewhat exhausted, this is already our 30th-something loop, but every time we reset, everyone acts like nothing ever happened. They still make the same mistakes.
With concern, Feng Xiu, don't push yourself too hard. This power is rare, but you're carrying the burden of being the only one who remembers, all alone. That's just too much to bear.
Loop after loop, Feng Xiu watches the same group of strangers die in all kinds of cruel, bizarre ways. No matter how hard he tries each time to change the outcome, there's always someone who meets disaster in a way he didn't anticipate. This crushing weight gradually leaves him unable to breathe.
Crouched alone in a corner, voice trembling. Why? Why does saving this one person always mean someone else dies somewhere I didn't notice? When does this loop finally end?
Gripping his hand tightly, Feng Xiu, you've already done more than enough. No one can save everyone alone. You can't carry all this responsibility on your own shoulders.
Meanwhile, a special emergency response team led by Captain Chen Feng has already secretly moved into the city to monitor the disturbances from this invasion. They quickly notice, from scattered surveillance footage, Feng Xiu and Lin Xiaoyu's several strange yet consistently danger-avoiding movements.
Staring at the surveillance footage, thoughtfully, these two ordinary civilians are dodging the creatures with an accuracy that's not normal, almost like they know in advance where the danger will appear. Something's definitely off here.
Chen Feng's professional instincts draw Feng Xiu and Lin Xiaoyu into the sights of official surveillance and investigation. A new storm is quietly brewing. During yet another loop, as Feng Xiu and Lin Xiaoyu try once again to head to Subway Station 3 to evacuate civilians, they're intercepted by Chen Feng and his team, who've already been waiting nearby, and taken directly to the temporary emergency command post for questioning.
Scrutinizing Feng Xiu, is it? You've been moving in and out of several danger zones across the city these past few hours with a precision that's too clean to be coincidence. Come clean, what exactly do you know?
Hesitating, then deciding. Captain, I know you probably won't believe this, but I really can't predict some of the dangers that are about to happen tonight.
Half believing, predict danger. That's easy to say. Fine, here's your chance to prove yourself. Tell me, what's going to happen somewhere in the city in the next half hour?
In a low, steady voice. In half an hour, the old overpass in the east side of the city will structurally collapse, and a creature will burst out from the rift at the same time. I suggest you seal off that area immediately and evacuate everyone nearby.
Half convinced, Chun Feng orders his men to head to the eastern overpass ahead of time to stand guard. No one expected that half an hour later, everything Feng Xiu said would come true down to the last detail.
Shocked and solemn, my God, everything he said came true. Feng Xiu, where exactly does this ability of yours to predict the future come from?
Honestly, it's a long story. Simply put, I have the ability to reset time after I die. Through repeated trial and error, I've mapped out the pattern of dangers happening tonight.
Though the explanation sounds unbelievable, Chun Feng, having witnessed the prophecy come true with his own eyes, decisively chooses to trust him, and proactively proposes a formal partnership with Feng Xiu and Lin Xiaoyu to tackle this crisis together. With official emergency forces now on board, the hard-won knowledge Feng Xiu gained from his loops can finally be put to far greater use. Under his precise guidance, the response team is able to preposition and evacuate with pinpoint accuracy, saving far more innocent lives than he and Lin Xiaoyu could have managed alone.
Addressing the team, based on the intel from Feng Xiu, focus our security and evacuation efforts on the old town, the subway station, and the eastern overpass. No one gets careless.
In a disaster that was once destined to be catastrophic, the death toll keeps getting pushed lower and lower, thanks to the intel accumulated through Feng Xiu's loops. News of the city's mysteriously plummeting casualty numbers quickly catches the attention of veteran investigative journalist Su Wan. With the sharp instincts honed from years covering social affairs, she's certain there's more to this than the bland official line about effective emergency response.
Thoughtfully, a drop in casualties this drastic is way too abnormal. There must be some key information being kept from the public. I need to go dig into this myself.
Drawing on her own connections, Su-won finally manages, after much effort, to get in touch with Feng Xiu, determined to confront him face-to-face about the truth behind all this.
Blunt and direct, Mr. Feng Xiu, I've heard rumors that this drastic drop in casualties has something to do with you. Some even say you have some kind of precognitive ability. Is that true?
Cautiously, Reporter Sue, this matter carries serious weight. I can't just talk about it carelessly.
Solemnly, Feng Xiu, if you really do have this ability, wouldn't it be better to come forward bravely instead of hiding it? Wouldn't letting more people get advance warnings save even more lives?
Su-won's words plunge Feng Xiu into deep internal conflict. Going public with this strange ability could certainly help more people guard against danger in advance, but it would also mean exposing himself completely to public scrutiny and unknown forces, never able to return to his once peaceful life.
To Lin Xiaoyu, with a bitter smile, Xiaoyu, do you think I should agree to let Reporter Sue make this public? Once it's out, I'm afraid I'll never get to live a normal life again.
Solemnly, Feng Xiu, compared to you continuing to silently bear this burden alone, I think letting more people know, and guard against it together, is the more responsible choice for everyone.
After careful consideration, Feng Xiu finally makes up his mind and agrees to Su-won's request. With the coordination of Chun Feng's emergency team, they hold a press conference open to the entire city, and Feng Xiu solemnly announces his unbelievable precognitive ability to the world.
Standing at the press conference podium, taking a deep breath. Everyone, today I want to be honest about something. Over these past few hours, I gained the ability to reset time after death, allowing me to foresee dangers before they happen.
The press conference erupts into an uproar. Reporters in the audience whisper among themselves, unable to process this unbelievable yet fact-backed announcement all at once. Once the news breaks, it spreads across the entire internet in an instant, and public opinion splits sharply into two camps. Some, based on the undeniable drop in casualties, choose to believe and thank Feng Xiu for stepping forward, while others dismiss it as attention-seeking hype, even suspecting he has ulterior motives.
Paraphrased comment, the casualty numbers speak for themselves. Believe it or not, this guy really is saving people in his own way.
Paraphrased comment, predicting the future. Scammers these days really are getting more and more outrageous. I'm not buying this mystical nonsense.
Just as public debate continues to heat up, Chun Feng's investigation team uncovers an even darker layer behind this eldritch invasion. A mysterious man named Li Chun, who also awakened a special ability during the anomaly, has secretly been manipulating the range of some creature's activity, attempting to profit from the chaos for his own hidden agenda.
Reporting gravely, Feng Xiu, we've found that the scope of this invasion seems to have been artificially manipulated and deliberately expanded by some mysterious force all along. The mastermind behind it is someone named Li Chen.
Shocked, what? Someone's been deliberately orchestrating this disaster behind the scenes? What is he even trying to gain from this?
After further investigation, Feng Xiu and the others finally uncover Li Chen's true motive. He too possesses a special constitution capable of drawing power from the creatures, and he's been trying to use this ever-expanding invasion to keep absorbing power and strengthening himself, utterly indifferent to the lives of the millions of residents in this city.
Muttering coldly to himself, the bigger and longer this invasion goes on, the more power I can absorb. And this Fang Xiu, who doesn't know his place, actually dares to try and end this feast. How ungrateful.
Learning of Li Chen's selfish, cold-blooded true intentions completely ignites Feng Xiu's fury. He resolves that no matter what, he will stop this madman who's trying to profit from disaster. Drawing on the detailed intelligence accumulated over dozens of loops, Feng Xiu, Lin Xiaoyu, and Chen Feng's team work through the night to devise a meticulous plan, intending to use Feng Xiu's near-perfect grasp of tonight's timeline to precisely pinpoint Li Chen's hideout and take him down in one decisive strike.
Pointing at a map, according to the intel from Feng Xiu, Li Chen should be hiding in the basement of that old church at the city center, right where the anomaly is most intense. We need to move before he grows any stronger.
Solemnly right. This time we have to strike true on the first try. We can't let any more innocent people lose their lives because of his greed.
On the night of the operation, Feng Xiu and the others split into several groups, quietly encircling and closing in on the old church at the city center, now shrouded in a heavy eldritch aura, preparing for the final showdown with Li Chen.
Low voice over the radio, all teams, maintain radio silence. Move in and encircle in phases as planned. No one acts without my order.
Under the cover of night, an eerie, teeth-aching hum keeps drifting out from inside the church. The final confrontation that will decide the fate of the entire city is about to begin. Feng Xiu goes in alone first, slipping deep into the church, and finds Li Chen sitting cross-legged at the center of a mass of pitch-black, eerie energy, greedily absorbing its power. Their eyes meet, and the atmosphere instantly turns razor-sharp.
Sneering, Fang Xiu, you really are like a persistent ghost, ruining my plans again and again. Fine then, today I'll let you see with your own eyes what real power looks like.
Standing his ground. Li Chen, you've been feeding your own greed on the lives of countless innocent people. Tonight, this disaster ends with me.
Without hesitation, Li Chen unleashes the considerable eldritch power he's absorbed over time, his whole body glowing with a bone-chilling black aura, launching a ferocious attack at Feng Xiu.
Grinning viciously, a mere mortal daring to challenge me. Today, I'll let you taste true despair.
Although Feng Xiu doesn't have direct combat power like Li Chen, his keen instincts honed through dozens of loops, along with his near-perfect familiarity with the church's interior layout, let him narrowly dodge Li Chen's fierce assault time and time again. Drawing on the church's structure and the weak points of that eerie energy core, both repeatedly tested across dozens of previous loops, Feng Xiu seizes the moment when Li Chen's attack is at its fiercest and his defenses are fully exposed, and decisively activates the energy-blocking device prepared in advance with Chen Feng's team.
Gritting his teeth, hitting the switch now?
Amid a piercing roar, the eerie energy core that Li Chen relies on to draw power is instantly and completely sealed off by the blocking device. The once raging power surging through Li Chen's body suddenly recedes like a retreating tide.
Staggering backward, in disbelief. No. This is impossible. How could the power I've been drawing just suddenly cut off like that?
Having lost the power that sustained him, Li Chen becomes utterly defenseless in an instant. Chen Feng's team, already lying in wait around the church, seizes the moment and swiftly, cleanly subdues him.
Escorting Li Chen away, sternly, Li Chen, you profited from disaster and treated countless lives as worthless. Today, we're going to settle this account with you properly.
As Li Chen is captured, the eerie energy he had secretly been manipulating and artificially amplifying loses its source of sustained power. The crack in reality that has loomed over the entire city begins, visibly, to slowly shrink and mend itself.
Watching the crack in the sky gradually fade, letting out a long breath. Finally, this nightmare that has lasted dozens of loops is finally about to end.
The sky on the horizon gradually turns pale. A night of bloodshed, and Feng Xiu's dozens of repeated deaths and rebirths, are finally about to give way to a true dawn. The moment the crack fully mends, Feng Xiu braces himself, mentally prepared to go through another death and reset. But this time, the clock on the wall keeps ticking steadily forward, and never jumps back to that all-too-familiar 2 a.m. again.
Watching the clock keep ticking forward in disbelief. This time, did it really stick? No more resets?
Watching the clock's hands turn steadily forward without pause, the heart Feng Xiu has kept in his throat all night finally settles. That nightmare of endless repetition has truly, completely come to an end. As day fully breaks, the city gradually returns to its usual order. Traffic flows through the streets, pedestrians hurry along as always. If not for the few remaining traces of eerie corrosion at some street corners, hardly anyone would believe that a world-shattering disaster had unfolded here just last night.
Discussing with a companion, I heard something big happened last night. Good thing the emergency department reacted fast, the casualties don't seem as bad as I imagined.
Most ordinary citizens remain completely unaware of what actually happened last night. Only Feng Xiu, Lin Xiaoyu, and Chun Feng's team clearly remember the harrowing events of that night. After the incident is properly resolved, Chun Feng, on behalf of the emergency response team, solemnly expresses his gratitude to Feng Xiu and Lin Xiaoyu, and formally invites them to join a special advisory group dedicated to handling similar supernatural anomalies, to assist with any future crises of this kind.
Solemnly, Feng Xiu, Xiaoyu, thanks to you both, the casualty count was kept to a minimum. The organization would like to formally invite you to join our advisory group. Are you willing?
Exchanging a glance with Lin Xiaoyu, nodding solemnly. As long as we can still help, we're willing.
With Feng Xiu's cooperation, Suwon also completes a detailed, in-depth investigative report, fully reconstructing the entire course of this eldritch invasion from start to finish. Once published, the report sparks widespread discussion online again, and many who once held skeptical views begin to change their minds.
In an interview with fellow journalists, being able to fully present the truth this time wouldn't have been possible without Mr. Feng Xiu's honest cooperation. I hope this report can help more people view this extraordinary anomaly rationally.
This detailed, responsible report also earns Feng Xiu's once controversial public announcement far broader and more solid public support. A few months later, Feng Xiu and Lin Xiaoyu have gradually settled into their brand new roles. As core members of the Special Advisory Group, they helped Chun Feng's team establish an early warning and emergency response mechanism for similar supernatural anomalies, doing everything they can to prevent future disasters before they happen.
To Feng Xiu, who would have thought back then all we wanted was to survive until dawn, and now we've become actual experts at dealing with this kind of anomaly.
Smiling. Yeah, but being able to help more people because of this experience is probably the one silver lining that nightmare left us with.
On another peaceful morning, Feng Xiu stands on a rooftop overlooking the city, watching the sun slowly rise. That nightmare of endless repetition, which once nearly broke him mentally, has now become an especially weighty yet especially precious memory in his life.
Watching the sunrise, murmuring softly to himself, that night, I died and lived and died, more times than I can count. But it was that very night that made me truly understand. Being alive is, in itself, something worth fighting with everything you have to protect.
The glow of the rising sun spreads across the entire city, now returned to peace. A harrowing tale that began with an eldritch invasion and ended with the light of dawn has come to a fitting, complete close. Before this eldritch invasion occurred, Feng Xiu's life could be described as almost tediously plain. After struggling to find work following college, he'd simply settled for this convenience store night shift job, drifting through life day by day, never once imagining that his life would ever intersect with words like hero or foresight.
Recalling, laughing at himself. Back then, all I ever thought about was saving enough money to switch to an easier job. Who could have guessed I'd end up like this one day?
Perhaps it was precisely this once mundane ordinariness that gave Feng Xiu, in the face of this extraordinary catastrophe, the resilience and unyielding tenacity unique to an ordinary person. During the third loop, Feng Xiu, thinking he'd already figured out how to dodge the creature at the convenience store, never expected that just as he let out a sigh of relief, another creature, completely different in form, more cunning and better hidden, would suddenly burst out from an alley around the corner and drag him back into death without warning.
Right before dying, in disbelief. How? There's another monster? Just how many of these things is this city hiding tonight?
This unexpected second death makes Fang Xiu fully realize this catastrophe is far more complex and dangerous than he originally imagined. He absolutely cannot afford to be careless. Having learned his lesson, Fang Xiu starts using his phone's notes app to meticulously record every danger discovered in each loop, the time, the location, the creature's specific form, and the corresponding way to avoid or repel it, gradually compiling a danger checklist so detailed it borders on obsessive.
Muttering to his phone notes. Old Town Market, 2:30 a.m., East Side Alley. That tentacle one. Remember to take the long way around. Subway station 3 a.m. sharp. End of the platform. That misty one. Whatever you do, don't take a deep breath.
This detailed list, paid for with countless painful deaths, gradually becomes Fang Xiu's most valuable and most brutally earned lifeline for everything that follows. The reason Lin Xiaoyu is able to stay unusually calm and brave in the face of this extraordinary disaster traces back to her years working as an emergency room nurse. Having witnessed countless life and death situations, she carries a composure most people simply don't have when facing these creatures.
Calmly, I spent years working in the ER. I've seen every kind of life and death scene there is. Compared to patients hovering between life and death on an operating table, these creatures honestly don't scare me as much.
Genuinely impressed? No wonder you can stay so steady in front of these monsters. So that's where that composure comes from.
In the course of repeated trial and error, Fang Xiu and Lin Xiaoyu also unexpectedly discover that certain ordinary products sold at the convenience store, like a particular brand of salt and flashlights of a specific wavelength, seem to have an unexpectedly powerful repelling effect on certain types of creatures.
Pleasantly surprised, Fang Xiu, look, that misty creature just backed off the moment it touched the flashlight beam. This might be an important discovery.
Excitedly writing it down. Great, let's add this to the list too. Next loop, let's bring a few more emergency flashlights. Might save a few more people.
Among the many loops, one in particular leaves an indelible mark on Fang Xiu. He tries with everything he has to save a little girl, separated from her family and trembling in fear at the Old Town Market. But because of one small misjudgment on his part, the creature still manages to take the girl's life first.
Holding the girl's body, voice trembling. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was just a moment too late.
Even though the next loop will bring that girl back unharmed at the market, the pain and guilt of having witnessed it firsthand yet being powerless to stop it stays deeply etched in Fang Xiu's memory, impossible to erase. Learning from that painful lesson, in the next loop, Fang Xiu positions himself minutes ahead of time near the alley where the girl is likely to get separated from her family. This time, he finally manages to shield her in time, keeping her safely behind him and avoiding the creature's attack.
Tightly shielding the girl, relieved. This time I finally made it in time.
Watching the girl once again wrapped tightly in her anxious parents' arms as they rush to her, the weight on Fang Xiu's heart finally lifts, and it strengthens his resolve to keep gritting his teeth and pushing forward. Before officially deciding to cooperate with Fang Xiu, a fierce debate breaks out within Chun Feng's emergency team. Some members argue that Fang Xiu should be taken into custody and thoroughly studied to determine the source of his abnormal ability, rather than rashly choosing to trust and collaborate with him.
Questioning, Captain, how does an ordinary citizen just suddenly get an ability like this? Who knows if there's some hidden risk behind it? Shouldn't we contain him first and figure it out later?
Firmly, right now, our top priority is minimizing casualties by any means necessary. Fang Xiu's ability is the most effective source of intel we currently have. Rashly treating him as a lab specimen would only alienate a cooperative partner and cost us this valuable intelligence advantage.
Overruling the objections, Chun Feng withstands pressure from his superiors to bring Fang Xiu back to headquarters immediately for in-depth study. He formally puts his own credibility on the line, vouching that Fang Xiu means no harm, and commits to personally overseeing the entire process of their cooperation.
On the phone with a superior, solemnly, "Sir, please give me some time." Fang Xiu's ability can only reach its full potential on a foundation of trust and cooperation. Forcing control on him will only backfire. I'll take full responsibility for this.
Chun Feng's willingness to defy pressure and step up also earns Fang Xiu a growing sense of genuine trust and respect for this decisive, no-nonsense captain. The reason Su Wan is so relentlessly drawn to major social incidents full of unanswered questions traces back to something she witnessed years ago. A tragedy made far worse because the official report was vague and the truth was covered up for a long time. That deeply buried professional regret is what made her determined ever since to become a journalist unafraid of digging for the truth.
Recalling, with feeling, if the truth about that incident years ago had come out sooner, maybe some of those unnecessary casualties could have been avoided. I've carried that regret with me ever since. That's why, this time, no matter what, I was determined to get to the bottom of the truth.
It's precisely this deeply buried professional conviction that makes Su-won so unusually persistent in the face of this extraordinary eldritch incident, pushing her to dig deep, and ultimately, it's what leads Fang Xiu to decide to go public with his ability. Through further investigation, Fang Xiu and the others also uncover a tragic backstory behind Li Chen's descent into darkness. Years ago, during a similar small-scale eldritch anomaly, Li Chen personally witnessed his closest family members die right in front of him, powerless to help because his own ability was too weak. That deep-seated feeling of helplessness ultimately twisted his mind.
Recalling, in pained, twisted anguish, if I had been just a little stronger back then, even just a little, my family wouldn't have died. From that day on, I swore I would never again be that helpless, weak person.
Unfortunately, Li Chen never turned that painful realization into strength for protecting others. Instead, he slid step by step into an abyss of profiting from disaster, treating other people's lives as worthless. Learning of this tragic history, Fang Xiu's hatred for Li Chen quietly becomes tinged with a complicated thread of sympathy. He can understand the pain of watching a loved one die while being powerless to help, but he cannot condone Li Chen's choice to make up for that loss by harming even more innocent people.
Reflecting to Lin Xiaoyu, Li Chen, as a person, he really is despicable. But somehow, there's also something pitiable about him. He just chose the wrong way to make up for his regret.
Solemnly, no matter what pain you've been through, harming innocent people to make up for your own regret is always wrong. There's no ambiguity about that.
On the eve of the final battle, drawing on the intel repeatedly verified across dozens of loops, Fang Xiu helps Chun Feng's team put together a full set of specialized equipment, including custom-made salt rounds, high-intensity repelling devices, and a blocking device specifically designed to target the weak point of Li Chen's energy core.
Checking the equipment, based on the intel from Fang Xiu, this gear should significantly weaken Li Chen and the creatures he controls. Everyone, double-check everything, we can't afford any mistakes.
This detailed intelligence, built on countless bloody lessons, combined with top-notch equipment, gives this originally treacherous final battle a much stronger sense of confidence in victory. During the operation, Fang Xiu and the others still run into an unexpected complication. Li Chen turns out to be hiding a previously unknown secondary ability, allowing him to briefly control the creatures around the church, unleashing a coordinated swarm attack on the ambushing team.
Urgently over the radio, careful, he can control the creatures around him too. Everyone stay alert, don't let yourselves get surrounded.
Thinking fast, spread out and encircle as originally planned. Keep your distance, don't give him the chance to focus his control on one target.
Thanks to Fang Xiu's quick thinking and the team's well-trained coordination, everyone quickly adjusts their strategy, spreading formation and covering each other in turns, successfully weathering this sudden wave of controlled creatures, buying precious time and space for Fang Xiu to finally close in on Li Chen and activate the blocking device.
Providing covering fire, Fang Xiu, use this opening and get close to him now. We'll hold the line here and buy you time.
Gritting his teeth, charging forward, got it. Everyone, be careful.
In those final few steps charging toward Li Chen, memories of every death, every heartbreak, and every hard-won rescue from this night's dozens of loops flash rapidly through Fang Xiu's mind. These intertwined memories become the most solid strength supporting him through this last step.
Silently to himself, there won't be a next loop this time. Everyone's safety rests on this one final strike.
Carrying this heavy yet unwavering conviction, Fang Xiu charges forward without hesitation, straight at Li Chen and the eerie energy core that will decide the fate of the entire city. After Li Chen is captured, he soon faces formal interrogation and legal trial by the relevant authorities. Given that he's suspected of deliberately manipulating and escalating this eldritch invasion, indirectly causing massive casualties, he is ultimately sentenced by law to a lengthy prison term, along with continued monitoring of his abnormal ability by a specialized agency.
Reading the verdict, the defendant, Li Chen, deliberately manipulated abnormal energy in blatant disregard for public safety. Given the extremely severe circumstances, he is sentenced to life imprisonment, along with long-term monitoring by a specialized agency.
Li Chun, who once single-mindedly sought to profit from disaster and strengthen himself, ultimately pays the price his selfishness and cold-bloodedness deserved. After the incident is resolved, Feng Xiu finally musters the courage to tell his parents back home, who had been kept completely in the dark, about everything he went through that night. Both terrified and proud, the elderly couple immediately take a car into the city to see their son.
Holding her son tightly, crying and laughing at once, "My boy, look at all the suffering you went through. Why didn't you tell your mother sooner?"
Guiltily, Mom, the situation was too urgent at the time. I was afraid telling you would only worry you more. It's all over now. From now on, I'll be sure to come home and visit you often.
After going through this nearly world-shattering catastrophe, Feng Xiu also gains an entirely new understanding of his once complacent, mediocre attitude toward life. The weight of life and the meaning of protecting others now feel especially profound and clear in his heart.
To Lin Xiaoyu, with feeling, I used to think this was probably just how my whole life would go, plain, drifting along day to day. Now I understand. Even the most ordinary person, as long as they're willing to give everything they've got, can still protect a lot of things that truly matter.
Smiling gently, that's probably the most precious lesson that Nightmare taught us.
A few months later, a smaller-scale similar anomaly appears again on the outskirts of the city, but thanks to the detailed experience Feng Xiu's team accumulated before, along with the well-established emergency response mechanism, this anomaly is swiftly and properly handled before it can cause a single casualty.
Reporting with relief, thanks to the experience and mechanisms we built up from last time, this small-scale anomaly was handled fast and clean, not a single casualty.
With relief, that's probably the achievement we're proudest of from this whole journey.
After going through that life-and-death catastrophe together, the bond between Feng Xiu and Lin Xiaoyu, once purely a co-worker relationship, quietly warms up without either of them realizing it. The two gradually go from comrades fighting side by side to becoming each other's most important support in life.
Leaning against Feng Xiu's shoulder, after going through that night, I feel more and more that being able to walk through all this hardship side by side with you is an incredibly lucky thing.
Gently wrapping an arm around her. Me too, Xiaoyu. Whatever storms come our way from now on, we'll weather them together.
In his free time, Feng Xiu occasionally returns to the convenience store that holds this whole strange memory, buys a drink, and quietly sits on the steps by the door, watching the now bustling, perfectly normal street, recalling that night of repeated life and death loops.
Sitting on the steps, murmuring softly to himself. Who would have thought that such an ordinary night shift would end up completely rewriting my entire life?
Traffic flows through the street as usual, everything back to normal, while the resilience and sense of responsibility forged in Feng Xiu's heart through that brush with life and death have already become the most solid foundation of his brand new life. In the course of the repeated loops, Feng Xiu also gradually notices old Zhou, the owner of the tobacco and liquor shop next door to the convenience store, a cheerful, independent elderly man who always sets up his stall punctually in the middle of the night. In nearly every loop, he meets with disaster in a different way, which weighs heavily on Feng Xiu.
Anxiously, to old Zhou. Uncle Zhou, please don't set up your stall tonight. It's not safe out there. Please, just listen to me this once.
Waving him off, unconcerned, "Kid, you're overthinking this. I've been setting up this stall every single day for decades. I've seen every kind of storm there is. No need to worry about me."
After repeatedly trying different ways to persuade him across several loops, Feng Xiu finally hits on just the right reason in one particular loop, managing to convince the stubborn old Zhou to pack up early and stay home, letting the old man, for the first time, safely avoid disaster during this catastrophe.
Half convinced, packing up his stall. "All right then, kid. Since you're being so serious about it today, I'll trust you this once."
Relieved? Uncle Zhou, I'm relieved you're willing to trust me this time.
Watching old Zhou return home safe and sound, the frustration Feng Xiu had built up from repeated failures finally eases a little. As the number of loops grows, Feng Xiu also unexpectedly discovers that some seemingly trivial choices he makes in one loop can ripple into unexpected chain effects on completely unrelated events in later loops, which makes him act with increasing caution and deliberation.
Thoughtfully, last time, I took that extra detour, and it indirectly caused the noodle shop owner on the corner to close early and dodge disaster. Seems like the connections between these choices are even more complicated than I thought.
This growing understanding gradually teaches Feng Xiu to plan his route of action in each loop from a more holistic, more cautious perspective. Before formally getting in touch with Feng Xiu, Su Wan had actually already taken enormous risks, venturing alone into several anomaly sites to conduct on-site interviews and gather evidence, several times narrowly escaping disaster, only surviving thanks to her exceptional courage and sheer luck.
Recalling, still shaken, that time in the old town, I nearly got caught by that massive black shadow. Even thinking about it now gives me chills. But as a journalist, if you don't go deep into the field, how else are you supposed to dig up the real truth?
It's precisely Su Wan's professional spirit, disregarding her own safety to relentlessly pursue the truth, that ultimately leads to that especially candid and pivotal meeting between her and Feng Xiu. The reason Chen Feng is so exceptionally dedicated to this emergency response mission also has a hidden personal reason. His younger sister happens to live near the old town, right in the area hit hardest by this anomaly. That worry gives him an especially urgent, deeply personal stake in carrying out the mission.
Confiding to Feng Xiu, I'll be honest with you, my sister lives right there in the old town. This mission isn't just work for me, it's about protecting my own family's safety.
Solemnly, Captain, don't worry. This time, we will absolutely do everything in our power to make sure no ordinary resident like your sister gets hurt.
After learning about Chun Feng's sister's situation, Feng Xiu makes a point in later loops to specifically track and confirm the exact danger window for her neighborhood, ultimately helping the response team successfully evacuate Chun Feng's sister and the surrounding residents safely out of the danger zone in time.
Learning his sister is safe, voice choked with emotion, thank you, Feng Xiu. I owe you for this.
Sincerely, Captain, no need to thank me. Protecting everyone was always what I wanted to do in the first place.
This trust and bond, which goes beyond a simple working relationship, also makes Chun Feng's support for Feng Xiu afterward even more wholehearted. Before the final battle, Li Chun also once tries, during a chance encounter in one of the loops, to recruit and persuade Feng Xiu to join him. He believes that someone with special abilities like Feng Xiu deserves to stand above ordinary people and enjoy the privileges that power brings, rather than foolishly risking everything for a bunch of strangers.
Meaningfully, Feng Xiu, you and I are actually the same kind of people, both of us have power beyond ordinary humans. Instead of foolishly risking your life for people who won't even remember what you sacrificed for them, why not join me and enjoy the freedom that this power brings?
Refusing without hesitation, Li Chun, you and I are nothing alike. I have this power to protect people, not to place myself above others and profit off them.
After turning down Li Chen's offer, Feng Xiu still can't help but confide in Lin Xiaoyu about a fleeting moment of doubt deep inside him that left him genuinely shaken.
Looking somewhat down, Xiaoyu, to be honest, what Li Chun said was absurd, but the moment he said it, I felt a flicker of doubt cross my mind. Does that mean deep down, I'm not as resolute as I thought?
Holding his hand gently, Feng Xiu, the fact that you felt a moment of doubt in the face of temptation just proves you're a real, flesh-and-blood human being. But in the end, you still firmly chose to refuse, and that's what matters most, what's most precious about you.
After the incident is resolved, word spreads, and quite a few international research institutions develop a strong interest in studying this extraordinary eldritch phenomenon, as well as the bizarre ability Feng Xiu displayed, one after another reaching out hoping for in-depth exchange and collaborative research.
Via video call, Mr. Feng Xiu, the ability you've displayed could hold extremely important research value for humanity's understanding of supernatural phenomena. Would you be willing to cooperate with some non-invasive research?
Cautiously. As long as it doesn't disrupt my normal life, and I'm not treated as a mere test subject, I'm willing to cooperate with some basic exchange and research.
Facing a flood of research collaboration requests, Feng Xiu, with advice from Chun Feng and Su Wan, sticks firmly to a few non-negotiable boundaries. He will never allow any institution to treat him as a pure lab tool, nor let this ability be monopolized by any single party for improper purposes.
Solemnly, to all the research institutions, I'm willing to cooperate with basic research because I hope this knowledge can truly benefit more ordinary people who might face similar crises, not become a tool for anyone to profit from privately. I ask everyone to please understand and respect this boundary.
Feng Xiu's clear-headed, resolute attitude also earns him genuine respect and support from everyone around him, including Chun Feng and Su Wan. After the incident, Quite a few survivors who personally experienced that night's panic and pain spontaneously form a small mutual support group. Fang Xiu, Lin Xiaoyu, and Old Zhou are also often invited to join, sharing and confiding in each other about trauma and lingering fear too difficult to explain to outsiders.
At a support group meeting, that night may be over, but the fear still surfaces in my dreams sometimes. Having a place like this, where we can confide in each other, has really helped me a lot.
With genuine empathy, none of us are carrying this pain alone. Being able to support each other and slowly work through it together is already something remarkable.
After his brush with death, Old Zhou never forgets the debt of gratitude he owes Fang Xiu for saving his life. He later volunteers to serve as an informal neighborhood watch patroller, often reminding his neighbors to stay alert and stay safe. His own way of repaying that debt.
Chuckling, "Kid, if you hadn't fought so hard to stop me back then, these old bones of mine probably would have been done for that night. Now I want to do my part too. Keep an eye out for the neighborhood."
With relief, Uncle Zhou, this kindness of yours means more than anything else.
Even though this catastrophe has been fully resolved, Fang Xiu hasn't completely shaken off the psychological shadow left by repeatedly experiencing death and rebirth. Late at night, he still occasionally wakes with a start from those harrowing nightmares, drenched in cold sweat.
Jolting awake from a nightmare, gasping, that creature again. I guess this fear isn't something that just goes away that easily.
Fortunately, with Lin Xiaoyu and the others who went through this catastrophe together always by his side to support him, Fang Xiu gradually learns to make peace with this lingering trauma and slowly heal.
Gently rubbing Fang Xiu's back, dreaming about that night again? It's okay, I'm right here. You're not facing this alone anymore.
Leaning on her shoulder, steadying his breathing. Thank you for always being here, Xiaoyu. With you by my side, this fear doesn't feel quite so hard to get through.
It's precisely this steadfast companionship, forged through life and death, that lets Fang Xiu gradually walk out of the shadow of that nightmare and re-embrace a peaceful, fulfilling new life. The city also holds a solemn public memorial for those citizens who tragically lost their lives in the initial outbreak, before Fang Xiu's loop-gained experience could cover them. Fang Xiu, Lin Xiaoyu, and Chun Feng's entire team solemnly attend, paying their deep respects to those lives that can never be brought back.
At the memorial, let us observe a moment of silence together, in memory of our fellow citizens who tragically lost their lives in this sudden catastrophe. May the departed rest in peace, and may the living stay strong.
This solemn memorial ceremony also deepens Fang Xiu's awareness of the heavy responsibility that comes with this ability of his. On the one-year anniversary of the incident, the city specially erects a monument near the Old Town Market, engraved with the story of that night, and the names of everyone, ordinary citizens and emergency responders alike, who stepped forward to help resolve this catastrophe, so this harrowing yet deeply human story will never be forgotten.
Standing before the monument, with feeling, looking at all these names densely engraved on this monument, I truly understand. Surviving that night safely was never about my strength alone, but about the shared perseverance and effort of countless ordinary people.
The monument stands quietly in the sunlight, silently telling the story of that harrowing journey which began in darkness and ended in dawn, forever reminding those who come after that ordinary perseverance can gather into a light powerful enough to pierce the darkness. Suwon also collaborates with Fang Xiu and Chun Feng's team to write a public safety guide for ordinary citizens on how to respond to supernatural anomalies, detailing basic self-protection measures for encountering phenomena like these, and distributes it freely to society at large.
At the release event, this guide condenses the precious experience Mr. Fang Xiu gained through countless personal experiences. I hope it can genuinely help those who need it in critical moments.
Solemnly, if these lessons paid for in blood and tears can give even one person a slightly better chance of surviving in a critical moment, then this guide wasn't written in vain.
Not long after the guide's release, a college student successfully saves herself and helps evacuate her classmates during an unrelated but equally dangerous fire emergency, applying the guide's principles of staying calm under pressure.
Sending a message of thanks, Mr. Fang Xiu, it wasn't the kind of creature you described, but the principles in your guide, staying calm, evacuating in an orderly way, really helped me and my classmates survive that fire. Thank you so much.
This unexpected yet especially precious feedback further convinces Fang Xiu that the experience he distilled from this ordeal carries value far beyond this single incident. Drawing on the valuable experience gained from this incident, Chun Feng's emergency department also spearheads the establishment of a nationwide rapid response protocol for supernatural anomalies, formally writing Fang Xiu's core principle of intelligence first, precise evacuation, into the protocol's framework.
At the protocol's launch event, the core principle of this protocol comes directly from the precious lessons Fang Xiu and his team paid for in blood and tears. Precise intelligence is what makes emergency response truly effective.
This protocol, built on the dedication of countless people, becomes from then on an important reference standard for the entire country in handling similar supernatural incidents. After the incident, Fang Xiu also makes a point of accompanying Lin Xiaoyu back to the ER department where she once worked, to formally thank the former colleagues who helped train the composure and quick thinking she relied on that night, thanking them for their indirect contribution to resolving this catastrophe.
With relief, who would have thought that no-nonsense drive we had back in the ER would come in handy in something as unimaginable as this? Xiaoyu, you've really made our department proud. Gratefully, it's thanks to the careful guidance of all you seniors back then that I was able to stay calm and clear-headed that night.
As Fang Xiu's story becomes widely known, quite a few film companies and commercial entities approach him, hoping to buy the rights to adapt his experience for a high price and package it commercially. But Fang Xiu turns them all down one by one.
Persuading hard, Mr. Fang Xiu, your story is honestly the perfect material. Just say the word, and we can offer you quite a generous price.
Solemnly declining. I'm sorry, but this experience carries the very real pain and sacrifice of too many people. I don't want it to be over-commercialized or turned into mere entertainment.
Facing endless commercial offers, Fang Xiu ultimately chooses to donate every last cent of proceeds from the one-in-death report he agreed to authorize Su Wan to write, along with any future related earnings, to a charitable fund specifically supporting survivors and the families of emergency responders.
At the donation ceremony, this money should go to the survivors who truly need help, and the families of the responders who risked everything on the front lines, not into my own pocket.
This choice, made without seeking fame or fortune, only a clear conscience, further sharpens and deepens Fang Xiu's respected image in the public eye. A year later, Fang Xiu is invited to give a talk to a group of newly recruited emergency responders. Rather than dwelling on his own extraordinary experience, he focuses on emphasizing the irreplaceable value of perseverance and responsibility in even the most ordinary of positions.
To the new recruits, the crises you face in the future may not be as bizarre as what I went through, but that willingness to step up and protect others in critical moments, that courage and sense of responsibility, is the most core, most precious thing about this job.
The solemn, focused eyes of the new recruits in the audience make Fang Xiu feel, for a moment, as if he's looking at his own past self. Someone who knew nothing at the time, yet gritted his teeth and shouldered the responsibility step by step. Many years later, this city has long since sealed that once world-shocking, perception-shattering eldritch invasion deep into the memory of its history. Only that quiet monument still standing in the old town, and the story Fang Xiu occasionally tells the young people around him, remain as vivid as ever. The city remains bustling and brightly lit, and Fang Xiu and Lin Xiaoyu still walk side by side through the streets of the city they once fought with everything they had to protect. That legendary story, which began in darkness, passed through countless cycles of life and death, and ended in the light of dawn, will keep quietly living on, for as long as the city's lights keep shining. During the trial, Li Chen's defense attorney attempts to plead for a lighter sentence on the grounds that he suffered severe psychological trauma after witnessing his family's tragic death years earlier, but faced with solid evidence of his long-term, deliberate manipulation of the anomaly, disregarding the safety of millions of residents, the argument proves just as weak and unpersuasive.
In defense, Your Honor, the defendant Li Chen suffered major psychological trauma at an early age. There are mitigating circumstances behind his motives. We ask the court to take this into consideration.
Rebutting, personal misfortune can never be a legitimate excuse for treating the lives of millions as worthless and deliberately worsening a public crisis. We respectfully request the court impose the full weight of the law, without leniency.
At the trial, Fang Xiu also testifies as a key witness, detailing the countless innocent lives he personally witnessed being lost across dozens of loops because of Li Chen's deliberate manipulation and escalation of the anomaly, striving to make sure the court fully grasps the real, heavy human cost behind this crime.
On the witness stand, grave-faced, Your Honor, I personally witnessed far too many innocent people lose their lives needlessly, deaths that could have been avoided if not for Li Chen's deliberate escalation of this anomaly. I asked the court to give these victims the justice they deserve.
Fang Xiu's testimony, grounded in first-hand experience and carrying real weight, becomes one of the key pieces of evidence behind the court's ultimately severe sentencing of Li Chen. Thanks to that detailed, in-depth investigative report fully reconstructing the course of this extraordinary catastrophe, Suan also wins a prestigious annual journalism award. The judging panel praises her professional spirit, fearless in the face of danger, unafraid to dig for the truth.
Reading the award citation, this year's winner, Suan, fully presents the complex and profound truth behind this major incident with a professional, rigorous, and deeply humane perspective. She thoroughly deserves this honor.
Acceptance speech. This honor belongs to everyone who was willing to cooperate honestly to help uncover the truth together, especially Mr. Fang Xiu. Without their trust and cooperation, this report wouldn't exist.
On the second anniversary of the incident, the Old Town, once the hardest-hit district, holds a lively community revival celebration. Fang Xiu, Lin Xiaoyu, and Old Zhou are invited as guests of honor, witnessing this once deeply scarred neighborhood, now bursting back to life with vibrant energy.
Giving a speech at the celebration, the fact that our neighbors have been able to live safe, thriving lives again these past 2 years is all thanks to the tireless protection Fang Xiu and his team gave us back then. Today's celebration is our community's heartfelt way of saying thank you.
With feeling, seeing everyone able to live their lives in peace again. This is probably the best reward for everything we fought so hard for back then.
At the community revival celebration, a group of children from the recovered neighborhood proudly bring out their own hand-drawn pictures. Each one, however clumsy, full of heartfelt meaning. In the drawings, Fang Xiu is depicted glowing with light, driving back the very creatures that once made the adults shudder just to talk about. He has clearly become this neighborhood's rightful hero in the children's eyes.
Holding up her drawing, innocently, Uncle Fang Xiu, look, this is you fighting the monsters. Doesn't it look cool?
Crouching down, smiling as he takes the drawing. Wow, this is really well drawn. Thank you for remembering your uncle so clearly.
Looking at the children's innocent, admiring smiles, Fang Xiu feels a wave of warmth and fulfillment hard to put into words. This simple, genuine recognition from the children moves him more than any official honor ever could. After this experience, Lin Xiaoyu also completely leaves behind her original nursing job, transitioning into the core training instructor for the advisory group, specifically responsible for training and guiding new batches of rescue personnel. Drawing on the composure she once had and the precious experience gained firsthand, she goes on to train batch after batch of outstanding emergency responders.
To the new trainees, in the moment a crisis strikes, staying calm and clear-headed always matters more than blind bravery. That's a lesson I learned firsthand, and I hope all of you will keep it close to heart.
Lin Xiaoyu, once just an ordinary convenience store coworker, has now, through her own resilience and growth, lived out a chapter of her life every bit as remarkable and meaningful as anyone else's. Thanks to the decisive judgment and leadership he displayed during this major crisis, Chun Feng is also formally promoted after the incident, granted a higher-level emergency command position, taking on the heavier responsibility of overseeing the city's response to similar supernatural events.
Accepting the appointment, solemnly, this new responsibility is heavier, but as long as I can keep protecting this city, I'm willing to carry however heavy a burden it takes.
The captain who once withstood pressure and overruled objections to trust Fang Xiu has now, through his own conviction and sense of responsibility, risen to an even more important, even weightier position. 2 years later, Old Zhou finally decides to formally retire and enjoy his later years in peace. Fang Xiu and Lin Xiaoyu make a special trip to attend his simple but heartfelt retirement gathering, reminiscing together about that harrowing yet mutually supportive chapter of their lives.
Raising his glass, with feeling, in this life, meeting you two kids who fought so hard to save these old bones of mine is the greatest fortune I could ever ask for.
Raising his glass in return. Uncle Zhou, it was you who taught us that even ordinary people can live with that much openness and resilience. We treasure this bond just as much.
Many years later, Fang Xiu receives an unexpected letter from the very same little girl who, back then, got separated from her family at the market and nearly lost her life to a creature. Now grown into an adult, having been accepted into her dream university, she takes the time to write and thank the stranger who once protected her.
Reading the letter, eyes welling up. Uncle, I don't remember exactly what happened back then, but Mom told me it was you who saved my life. Thank you for letting me grow up healthy and have such a wonderful life now.
Reading this letter, full of sincere gratitude, Feng Xiu feels an indescribable warmth and comfort well up inside him. That regret which once nearly broke his heart, yet which he fought with everything to make up for, has now finally turned into the most complete, most touching echo of all. During a rare moment of leisure, Feng Xiu and Chun Feng sit together on a bench by the river, talking about how their understanding of the word hero has changed over this long journey. Once, they thought a hero had to have extraordinary, unstoppable power. Now they understand that a true hero is simply an ordinary person willing to shoulder responsibility in a critical moment.
Gazing at the river, I used to think a hero had to be some all-powerful, unbeatable figure. After going through that night, I finally understood, a true hero is just an ordinary person willing to risk everything and shoulder responsibility when it matters most.
Nodding in agreement, yeah, none of us were born heroes. We just didn't back down when it was our turn to step up.
Suwon also decides to write a more complete, detailed nonfiction book, systematically documenting the entire course of this catastrophe from outbreak to resolution, and the humanity shown by Feng Xiu's team and countless ordinary citizens, hoping to let more future readers draw courage and wisdom from this story when facing their own crises.
To Feng Xiu, I want to title this book Reincarnation Before Dawn, to leave your story, complete and true, for those who come after.
Nodding solemnly, good. As long as it helps more people remember this ordinary yet precious perseverance, I'll fully support this book.
Feng Xiu still keeps that small, worn notebook from back then, filled with records of every danger and every lesson from dozens of loops. Even though he no longer needs to rely on it to handle a crisis, he still flips through it from time to time, reminding himself never to forget the precious understanding bought with countless deaths that night.
Gently stroking the notebook's cover, murmuring softly to himself, this notebook doesn't just record danger and lessons. It's the most unforgettable answer of growth in my entire life.